Hey guys, it's Brittany. So, today's going to be a popcorn chat video, and today I'll be discussing on the movie Scream 5. And yes, I know it's called Scream, but I call it Scream 5 just because it's a sequel in the franchise. So, yeah, that's why. And I'm sorry there's not enough light. So, Scream 5, directed by Matt Bettinelli Oakland and Tyler Gillett. Written by James Vanderbilt and Guy Busick or Busick. I'm so sorry. And starring Melissa Barrera, Mason Gooding, Jenna Ortega, Jack Quaid, Marley Shelton, Courtney Cox, David Arquette, and Neve Campbell. It was released in theaters January 14th, 2022. And okay. So, yeah, we just get this story here on Scream 5. Hey, now let me turn the flashlight on here. I'm so sorry. So, Scream 5 is centered on the Carpenter sisters, Tara and Sam. And so Ghostface attacks Tara, and so at first it seems like it's gonna be the opening kill scene to Scream, but then she is attacked, but she does not get killed. Because I know in many of the Scream movies there's always an opening kill scene, but this time it was different. So Tara ends up in a hospital after she was brutally attacked by Ghostface, and so her sister Sam comes to visit her, and so now the sisters are targeted, but there's a reason for that. And so I think this is just a quite interesting story of how we see that the franchises continues of this new sequel, and how it's not centered around Sidney Prescott, it's just centered around the Carpenter sisters, and there's just things that are going on, and there's like a new set of rules. And so, and with Chad and Mindy, they are Randy Meek's nephew and niece, and so yeah, that's quite interesting. And the thing is, because I've always thought of like seeing like some relative, like any kind of relatives of Randy's side to somehow show in the Scream movies, because even after Randy died, I mean, yeah, we saw his sister in 3, but we didn't see anyone else. But and I gotta say, if you guys ever want to hear about this, because even before Scream 5 happened, I was somehow and even though it wasn't finished, but I was actually writing a story. I was writing a fictional story to how what happened to Randy in Scream 2, how he got stabbed but he survived, and that now he's gonna come back, and that when he does come back, he doesn't know that his cousins are there. So if you ever want to hear that kind of story, I will share it with you, maybe in a live stream. But yeah, I remember writing little bits of it because I had an idea of how he can come back. And yeah, I don't think we'll ever get to see Randy come back, to be honest, because as it shows in this one, that um, that he is officially gone, so he'll never come back. But then again, when it comes to horror movies, you just never know who can come back because, um, yeah, even in the Scream movies, it's like just when you think a character is dead, they may not be. And I've been hearing about that, especially of Stu Macher, like, um, that even though the way he was killed off in the first one, some are, um, some are saying like, well, he may not be, he may not be dead. He could very well survived what happened to him, and if he did survive, then he could come back. Now, I do think that is possible, though, that he could come back, but how are they gonna do it? How are they gonna bring him back? And I think, will he be Ghostface again? Yes, but I think this time I think he might be like the mastermind of Ghostface, and there are gonna be other people that he knows that he's gonna have as the Ghostface killers, you know? At least that's what I think. But yeah, I know there are some Scream fans who are a fan of Stu Macher, although I'm not a fan of the character himself. He's just a little too weird for me. And just, he just seems very off and just, there's just something about him that doesn't sit right with me, so I'm not a fan of the character. But if he does come back, I think I would be surprised, but at the same time, not. You know what I mean? It's kind of both. Like, on one hand, I wouldn't be surprised from the theories that I've been hearing of how he can come back and how. Okay, seriously, that was not me. The sound that just happened, like that plastic sound, came from over there. So let me just go and investigate. Okay, I know what happened. Um, okay, so right here, where I have my bookshelf of movies, one of them fell. Now the way it sounded, it did sounded like almost like a pop sound, you know, like of plastic. Although it wasn't, cause I thought there was maybe like a plastic thing laying around, and that maybe it just made a pop sound. Actually, it was not that at all. It's actually a movie that I have on DVD. It's Pleasantville. I actually have two of them though, but you know, of course, I'm gonna keep both. But what happened was, cause it's not standing up like this. It's more like standing up from the side. So what happened was it fell. It fell and it actually landed on it landed on this of the is this these are wax melts, but that was the pop sound, plastic sound that I heard is where it landed on this. Okay, so Okay, something paranormal just happened here right in this video because I was just talking about Stu. Okay, Stu Macher. And yet that happened. But yes, I've been hearing about, different theories on how he can come back, so that doesn't surprise me to how he can come back, of these different theories and different ways. Oh yeah, that's what I was saying, is how I wouldn't be surprised because of what I've been hearing of these different theories and different ways, and that's when that happened. Okay, so at least, oh my gosh. And the thing is, I think because now I'm sharing more paranormal experiences, I wouldn't doubt if anything else were to happen. And I think it depends on what I say. And I notice that too, because even when I'm not doing a video, even off camera, that whatever I'm thinking, and even if I say something out loud, so it all depends on what I say, what it is that I'm feeling at the moment, and then something will happen, whether if I hear a certain sound, noise, or maybe a voice, or if I hear, something, any kind of noise at all, and that's probably something or someone saying, maybe giving me some kind of sign, maybe giving me some kind of message to what it is that I'm saying. So I'm not sure why that fell. I don't know if it had to do with Stu Macher, whether if it's the possibility that he is gonna come back, but to how. But like I said, it doesn't surprise me to how he's gonna come back. But but it will surprise me in a way that when he is revealed, somehow in some way, I think it's going to be this very surprising, shocking reveal, to know that he's alive and that he's back. So I think that itself will surprise me. So yeah, I'm just putting it out there. If that does come to happen. So, okay, you just heard it for yourself because that just happened. And my question is, though, why did the movie fall over? Because, like I said, when it is standing, so there are two movies right there, and that is A Few Good Men and Pleasantville. So they're both standing, except they're not standing up like this. They're more like standing here, like on the side. So it fell. Yeah, I think it was sliding over and it just fell on top of the plastic cover of the wax melts that's over there. So quite interesting. And yeah, I just gotta say before I continue with Scream 5 that if anything else, if anything paranormal happens, whether it's that, any kind of sound or noise or anything at all, I wouldn't doubt for a second that anything can happen, even whether if I'm recording my videos or even when I'm not and I'm off camera. So keep an ear out, and also keep an eye out if something is ever seen, shown within my videos, because that also could happen as well, that something could be picked up, whether if it's by sound or something visual. So yeah, I wouldn't doubt that. So anyway, back to the story of Scream 5, that yeah, it's focused on the story of the Carpenter sisters, and of course it's just centered even around these new characters as well. But I gotta say, even the first time watching it, which I actually saw in theaters, so And actually, I did enjoy watching it in theaters. But I gotta say, now I would say that was actually the first Scream movie I saw in theaters. It is, and I'm actually quite happy with that. And um, so with these new characters, um, yeah, there are some that I like, but there are some where I thought, okay, I know I like them, but I don't know if any of them could be, the killer. So, I know there's just some characters I just kind of had a feeling about, like, okay, I'm not so sure about this character or this, that, who, whatever. So, yeah, and then, yeah, like I said, overall, I think it was a good story. It's just so different from anything that we've seen. But I gotta say, um, yeah, I did like it. So I do like everything else about it, the costume designs, and of course, even the costume for Ghostface himself. Um, it's just, uh, it's just a great costume, and I think it's also this great spooky ominous costume because you don't know who's in the costume and you don't know who's behind the mask, you know? So that just makes it feel very um scary and ominous, that you don't know who it is. And it just feels quite mysterious but in a very um scary way. And so now, for those who haven't seen it but would like to, I won't spoil anything. But the reveal of the Ghostface killers, I actually had a feeling that it was somewhat them, only because somehow something just didn't quite seem right with them, and something just seemed like even the way they acted, I'm like, okay. And to me, I'm like, okay, well, if you were acting like this earlier before knowing that they were Ghostface, like, okay, they could have at least, I don't know, show a little bit more emotion. Just showed, you know what I mean? So yeah, that was completely different. But I was glad to see, uh, Sydney and Gail. Although I gotta say, with the death scene of Dewey, oh my gosh. Honestly, it is brutal. It is so it's just so brutal, so cold to me that actually it broke my heart seeing his death scene. And so when I was seeing this in theaters, uh me and my sister both, because we love Dewey, and we were like screaming, but at the same time we were crying so hard. And oh my gosh, I honestly, I think the last time I probably screamed and cried over a character's death in the Scream movies was actually Randy, because Randy is also one of my favorite characters. So seeing him getting killed in part 2, I also screamed, but it wasn't just a scream. I screamed out no, and I was just crying. So that was like probably the last time that's happened. But then seeing Dewey getting killed, I feel like that happened all over again. But this time, because what's different between Randy's death and Dewey's death is that with Randy, he was killed in a van. He was stabbed 4 times, but we don't see it. We don't see the graphic and gruesome details to how he was killed. And I think, let's say if it was shown of the details itself, I know I would have been probably crying even more. But since it wasn't shown, I still cried. You know, I still felt very sad, but we didn't get to see that, which I'm actually glad we didn't. But with Dewey, oh my gosh, with Dewey, we saw how bad it was, how cold and brutal it was to how he was killed. And because of that, oh, to me, that's just, that was so twisted to how this Ghostface killer killed him. And like I said, it was just, I don't know, to me, it was just cold. It was just straight out, just very beyond horrible, and just, like I said, just so brutal, but it hurt to see that. Not just visually, but it hurt to see that emotionally. And so yeah, I remember crying really hard of Dewey's death. And so I would say that's probably the other time that I did cry over a character's death. Like, one, the first time was Randy, the second time Dewey. So, oh. And I've heard that they're gonna bring him back somehow, but I don't know how. I don't know if they're gonna bring him back, or if he's gonna somehow come back alive, or if they're gonna bring him back maybe to show flashbacks, you know, memories of Dewey when he was alive. So I don't know how they're gonna do that, but that's what I've heard. So yes, oh my gosh, I was heartbroken. So I was heartbroken when Randy got killed off so quickly, so suddenly in Scream 2, which I think was not the best move, because I believe it would have been best for Randy to have stayed alive. And then with Dewey, that was also just heartbreaking too, to see him getting killed like that. Now, Amber, oh, okay, I just spilled it. Okay, so Amber admitted, okay, so for those who don't want spoilers, you could click away, but Amber did confess to killing Dewey, although I don't see how, because of the height. And someone even said that, you know, they don't believe it could have been Amber. It couldn't have been Richie, because he or had already went in the elevator to get out of the hospital with Tara and Sam. So many are speculating that it could be Stu of that who it was that killed Dewey. And if it was Stu, I will not forgive him for that. He is like, okay, I'm just saying, if it was him, if it's the possibility of Stu being alive, and if he in fact did kill Dewey like that, that's just unforgivable, and that's just monstrous of him. You know, like, oh, that would make me so mad at him. You know, definitely. So yes, I do like everything about Scream 5, although I just don't like how Dewey died. I mean, did he really have to die? I mean, to me, I don't think so. I mean, I know there are some that say, well, at some point, one of the legacy characters would have to be killed off. I mean, on one hand, I understand, but at the same time, I wouldn't want that to happen. You know what I mean? So, yeah. And then, let's see. Yeah, even after that, even after his death scene, I was still just sad. But then, of course, the reveal, the Ghostface killers, which are, if you don't want to know, click away. But for those who know, I'm going to say it. So it's Amber and Richie. And of course, to how and why they became Ghostface killers, it to me is just complete nonsense. I feel like it's just a very ridiculous motive to become Ghostface killers, all because like, oh well, they're ruining our favorite horror movie franchise of Stab, and it what? Like, okay, I feel like there would have to be at least a more convincing motive than that. You know, other than, oh well, they're ruining the Stab movies. Like, yeah, the original ones were great, but now they're just ruining the franchise and no one cares about the Stab franchise anymore. Are you freaking kidding me? Really? This has to do with the Stab movies? Okay, I would say that's the one thing I did not like about it. But other than that, I still love it. It's also one of my favorite Scream movies, but I just don't like their motive and to how they're acting and everything. It's like, and so yeah, I don't like Amber either. Like, even the way she talked about Dewey, for one, that was very disrespectful to talk about him that way. And you know, considering to how he was killed like that, and for one, she was a total psycho bitch. And yes, I know you probably never heard me saying that before, but I feel like if I ever have to say it to describe a female character, then I'm gonna say it. So, but yes, other than that, I do like everything about Scream 5. You know, the story of the Carpenter sisters. I don't like Amber. I don't like Richie. And their motive for being the Ghostface killers is just so ridiculous. But I do like how Skeet Ulrich came back as Billy Loomis, and how um, Sam was seeing her father's spirit. Even though it may have looked like she was hallucinating, but I honestly think she was probably seeing his spirit and that he was talking to her. You know, and yeah, so I think that was interesting. But yeah, it was nice to have at least seen him back as Billy, and although in a different way, of course. And so yeah, I liked how like Tara and Sam became like I think Sam became the final girl. I'm not sure if Tara did. I think she probably is one of the final girls too. And so yeah, I like those two. And I just like how we got to see Gail back, and Sydney. And as even though we didn't get to see Sydney, at least not up until after Dewey's death, but I'm so glad that at least we get to see her even up until the final scene, you know, the final act of the movie. So yeah, I like everything about it, the music, the cast, and their performances. And I just really like everything about it, so I enjoy it. I do. So I hope you guys enjoyed this popcorn chat on Scream 5. And yes, so for the first time, or maybe not the first time, but the second time, something paranormal did happen in this video. So yep. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoy this, and comment down below on what you thought of Scream 5. So so yeah, for more movie content, reactions, streams, and the paranormal, subscribe and click on the bell so you'll be notified when I upload. And that's all for today, and I'll see you at the movies.